So test-driven development is a different way of developing software to the most basic normal thing. In a traditional software development process, what you do is you write your code, and then afterwards you think, right, let's test it now to check that it does what I wanted it to do. Test-driven development sort of inverts those two processes. First of all, you write the test, and then you write the code to actually satisfy and pass the test. The philosophy behind it is essentially you should only be writing code to do something if the code doesn't already do that in the first place. So it's only once you've written a test and the code has failed that it's worth actually modifying and updating your code to do what you want it to do. If the code already does what you want it to do, well then there's no point in writing anything extra to pass the test. So there's three phases to test-driven development. You develop it by adding test after test after test after test. First of all, what you do is you write a new test, something that you think your code doesn't currently do. Once you've done that, you run it and you check that the code doesn't do what you wanted it to do, that the test fails. From that, you then write in the code that you think you need to do to pass the test, and you try it again and hopefully your test passes. And if it doesn't, you keep going until it does. And after a while, you get your code working and all your tests will pass. And finally, what you need to do, and this is a very important part of it, is you then need to refactor your code. So if all you're doing is just adding code to pass a test, your code very quickly gets out of control. After you've got all your tests working, what you then do is you need to rearrange your code and try and make it a bit more efficient. And once you think you've done that, you run the tests again, and hopefully the way you've changed your code will mean that the code is still working. And if it's not, you've introduced a problem and you need to fix it so that all your tests are now passing. And if you keep doing that again and again and again, adding test after test after test, what you'll find in the end is that your software should be working quite nicely and it should have very few faults in it, very few bugs getting through to the final production system.